What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Deceptive Lab. This your boy Freeze with you, coming at you with another video. And today I want to talk about season 2 of Cyber Pass. And originally, typically what I do is when these things first come out, like with the first one, as soon as it came out, I just kind of just started talking about it. Did kind of like an overview of what was going on because that was the first time. But this go around, I wanted to take a little bit more time. And just I wanted to study the changes because pretty much because Space Ape made some changes to the format, and I talked to him about it when it first happened, and I told him that I was going to be taking notes throughout. Well, now it's been a couple of weeks, and so I just wanted to see some of the observations. I just wanted to put out some of the observations that I made, and just kind of come to some conclusions whether it got better or worse than the very first season of Cyber Pass. And I did have earlier in the year, one of my predictions was that I did say that I thought that Cyber Pass was going to get worse. In my prediction video, if you hadn't seen it, go to my channel and check it out. I had 5 bold predictions that I made for the year for Transformers Earth Wars. But when I made that video, one of the things I was thinking about with Cyber Pass is I honestly thought that the reward system was going to get worse, primarily because Space Ape came out at the very beginning and they said that they wanted to kind of come in with a bang that very first time that they made it. And so I thought the rewards were going to get worse, but honestly the rewards, they didn't get worse, and I honestly kind of like the format that they're using, but there are some things in here that I don't like. So what I'll do is I'll flip over to the battlefield and I'll actually just bring up my Cyber Pass screen. Alright, so here we got Cyber Pass. Got 2.5 hours roughly until the next daily quest. And so to kind of go through some of the history about why some of the changes happened. I mean, obviously this has all been really recent, but for those who don't keep up with Discord or anything like that, and the Transformers Earth Wars official Discord, one of the, I don't want to call it a complaint, some of the feedback that came from some of the players was that, oh well, it's really short. You know, the Cyber Pass last time was 3,000 points total, and realistically speaking, now it's going up to 4,500. So right out the gate, I see that it got longer, and the reason being is that a lot of people, they got done with Cyber Pass in a week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that. And then when somebody said something, that players started saying something to Dale about it, and he was like, oh, all right, well, now's a good time to take a break, which I wholeheartedly agree with. I mean, and here's why. I'm gonna go back to, so we got all these different modes, and depending on where you are in the game, you might be doing a lot more farming than others. Now, I mean, if you're still trying to build walls, if you're trying to get resources, I mean, you're probably still going to have to get some energon for your bots and stuff like that. So it's reasonable to say that most players are going to spend a fair amount of time in the attack a rival player, or as we call it, farming, to try to go and get your resources throughout the week. But then you're also going to have elimination mode, where you're going to be trying to collect your primary source of collecting your Z Energon, and then of course you're going to have your wars. There's going to be another method of trying to collect your Z Energon when you get up to those higher levels. So between that Titan Assault mode, personally, I don't see as much value in Titan Assault mode. And first off, it starts from me in where I live, and it's not just about me, but where I live, it comes on, it resets, and it's in the evening time, at night time, as I'm winding down from the weekend and getting ready, preparing for the next day at work, that Sunday evening. And granted, you got the rest of the week to do it, but it's just not fun. It's boring to me. And so when I go in there and I look at Titan Assault mode, I mean, granted, the fights with the opposing Titan, those can be fun, but when you get to a certain point and you can't get past that Titan, and you get to the point where for weeks and weeks at a time you're not even trying, that gets old. but then just stomping on random bases at a really slow speed, that's not fun to me either. So you got all those game modes in addition to your wars, in addition to your raids, in addition to your events. You're talking approximately 6 different game modes that you're looking at throughout the course of the week. Now I will say, Space Ape has said that they're going to address this and they're going to have some offline modes for some of these things. I don't know what that's going to look like yet, but I will say that'll be something for me, depending on how it's executed. It'll be much appreciated on my end, because I do feel like we got all these different game modes to grind in, and now I kind of embraced having a Cyber Pass. It only took a couple of weeks. Now I'm not saying, a lot of people, anytime you give any feedback, especially on Transformers Earth Wars Cybertron Discord, which is the Discord for the VIPs, a lot of times if you have any feedback, people will just automatically say you're whining or crying, and really that's not always the case. Sometimes it's just like, hey, this is how I feel. Now I do consider it whining or crying when people are constantly pinging the Space Ape employees and stuff like that. They got a lot of other stuff to do and you're distracting them from it, I feel like, every time you go tag them. But I do feel like if you use the appropriate channels, if you use the feedback channels, even if you just talk about it on the channel and they happen to see it, then that's okay. But I'll leave that at what it's worth. For me, one of the issues that I've been having with the Cyber Pass is, if you look at my Cyber Pass screen, you see that some of the dailies, a lot of them have been based on just certain characters in the game, and so I don't think they put a lot of characters into this one. I do have somewhat of a theory. I'm kind of wondering if some of these characters show up as 5 stars within the next batch or two, just because it seems like they've been using a lot of bots that people don't typically always use a whole lot. I do know that they're starting to be a little bit of steam. This Iron Bison is starting to catch a little bit of steam, just because he has one of those effects, the slowdown effects for some of these bots. Those are ones that there's not a counter for on the defensive side, so that might be an opportunity for people to practice with some of these bots that they might not use. But as I already stated before in a previous video, I feel like a lot of these bots that are combiner pieces are going to start to end up in some of these 5-star batches. So when I look at Iron Bison, when I look at Vortex, and I start to see combiner pieces, and I say, hey, maybe it's time to start getting comfortable with these bots. So that's a good side from that. But at the same time, I've also had these battles 4 different times of Vortex, 4 different times in Iron Bison, and as you can see, the season for me ends in 24 days. But we've been in this thing for a couple of weeks now, and I've already had those same dailies 4 times, so it gets repetitive, and it does get a little bit distracting away from things that you would normally be doing. Now I get it; it is easy to just go, because for me personally, I only use teams of like 2 to 3 bots when I'm farming and everything like that. I'm trying to level a lot of bots right now, get them stronger, and try to have some alternatives for my war team, which I recently changed. So now, because I recently changed my war team a little bit, I also had to make sure that I was taking care of those bots and getting them the XP that they needed during the week, and then also during the events. But this is how far I've gotten so far, and so I'm already at 2,120 tokens. Honestly, when I look at the intervals have grown a little bit, and right now I'm looking at the G metal building chip on the paid pass at 1,350. Those intervals were a little bit smaller on season 1, and I think that because players were saying it was too short, Space Ape wanted to go ahead and space it out. Now I will say this: when we had Cyber Pass in testing, one of the early questions that I asked, because there were so many items up there early that I was just hammering through them quickly, and I started to ask the question. I was like, hey, is your intent for this Cyber Pass to last an entire season? And the answer that I got for that was no. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that that's one of those things where Space Ape was dishonest or not truthful. They were 100% truthful about that. The problem is, you had a lot of players, excuse me, who wanted to make it longer, which is always a concern for me. But now, now that that's changed, what they did is they widened out the intervals. I think they were intervals of about 150 or 250 or somewhere around there. And now you can see that those intervals are extended out to about 350 between each prize. So it's not terrible. It's still doable. There's plenty of time. And at the end of the day, this is a longer saga because we had to make room for the leaderboard that they didn't want, Space Ape didn't want to put up there during the Easter holiday. But the prizes are pretty good. Space Ape did say that they're going to probably alternate 5-star bot shards and then 5-star combiner shards. So I do think that's a good deal because I do think that it's kind of difficult to get combiner shards. Now I will say, not combiner, but combat. Excuse me, combat 5-star combat shards. We ain't got 5-star combiners yet. I was just speaking too fast. But I say it does make me wonder what are they going to do for the combat spark that they put in there, and well, they probably leave that and just continue to add shards so you can, which we do need because it takes a really long time. I'm gonna go pull up my 5-star combats. So just give me a second. Go to bot cores. Well, actually, that's my actual bots. Let's go look at my shards real quick. Yeah, so right now I'm at 2010, and I'm at 2010 right now. All right, sorry for that. Had to go off mic for a second, and so for me, 2010, and I'm trying to remember when I actually got my last 5-star because it's taken some time to go get another 5-star, and I said I got 2 so far, but I got 2 ever since they introduced 5-star combats to the game, and that's the 2 that I got in Legacy 1. So Blowpipe was the last one that I got. So I do see value in adding those 5-star combat shards to the Cyber Pass, and it's a good alternate to have between that and the regular 5-star shards. Like I did say in a previous video, I do feel like Space Ape is trying to give us more opportunities to more 5-star bot shards because we're gonna need those 5-stars as we get into the HQ18 later this summer or fall. But that said, I don't really like, now some of these times, every now and again I get an easy daily, like on the bottom one you can see there I get a 15 or 13 from the harvester, which as long as I'm not full, I can get through that pretty easily. Win 100 event battles. I probably could have did better on that up to this point. I haven't done the event battles from my alt faction yet. I'll take care of that this weekend, and then I could definitely have done my normal event battles. Now for me, it's kind of a pain in the butt for my normal event battles one because honestly, like I said, I use 2 to 3 bots, so that typically puts me in the hard or very hard range, and I want to get as much XP and I want to get as much and I want to get as many resources as possible. So I see this as kind of a little bit of a deterrent. There are teams that I do just run the normal battle, so that slowed me down a little bit. Just because of the way that I like to play, I think it takes me a little bit away from that. It's particularly in events, because events for me it's about the XP. I don't particularly want to do an event every single weekend, but I know the prizes are going to be worth it in the end. So I haven't done as many normal battles doing that, but I think I should be able to knock out my normal battle quest this weekend with it being a longer event. My hard elimination battles, so I have been doing those, but I say I only got 4 of those at hard, just because I usually load up my entire team, just in case I have any mistakes. Like I feel like the elimination mode, the difficulty is a little bit harder than the regular mode. Now, in part because I do get the Titan in my regular farming, but even before that, I felt like hey man, this is a little bit more difficult than it should be per each level. So I always like to carry backups, but so I've been taking my time with that one and doing that primarily with my alt faction teams. I really just started doing that this week, so I'll probably finish that up today. Get me another 150 before the day closes. The 5 war battles without deploying a medic, I'm just not doing that one. I don't think. Just because, like I said, I did have to drop down when I changed my war team. I did have to drop down my team overall power a little bit just to make sure that I was getting the correct bots into the squad. I had to go get some additional healer put in and things like that. So let's see. Yeah, so a couple of things that I could do a little bit better with, but overall my feeling is that I think it's getting a little bit too grindy, and you gotta excuse me. I'm trying to pull my curtain down so I can adjust my lighting a little bit, but I do feel like it's a little bit grindier than the first Cyber Pass, and I do feel like when I look up here and I see that they wanted to add some extras to the end. Now, I will say I got to about 6,000 something just naturally. Like the first season of Cyber Pass, I felt like it was a little bit more natural as things that I do normally that wind up becoming part of the tokens that I got. But at the same time, I also feel like, I mean, if you got an opportunity to go get these nice prizes and not work honestly very hard for them at all, I'm all for it. But so I feel like it would have been enough just to add the total spark as some additional bonus. But I hate when Space Ape tries to tell you that total spark, like, that's optional. Like, if you see something up there, you feel obligated to complete it. And so and I think a part of that is just understanding your player base and understanding the way they think and the way they process. I personally, if I see total spark, I'm gonna try to go for the total spark. You know, everybody needs spark, combiner spark, and combat spark for the most part. Not, you know, at some, and if you don't need it now, at some point you're gonna need it. So I feel like it is a nice touch to add those items, but at the same time, you know, 7,500 points compared to a battle Cyber Pass where we just got finished having 3,000 points, and the intervals were closer together. I do feel like that's just another game. I feel like that's a 7th game mode that's become really grindy because it's now taking you outside of your normal element for a lot of these quests. And so, like I said, I've been taking notes on it because I just wanted to be able to give that feedback to Space Ape, especially as one of the playtesters. I wanted to give him as much feedback as possible. But one thing for me, when I go give the feedback, I tell them, and typically I'm done with it. I don't like to try to do a whole lot of arguing in there, unless somebody's just making a really weak point and they're trying to, you know, to try to attack something I'm saying. Then usually I just give them the information. Hey, this is what I think about it. Maybe a couple other words afterwards, and then I let it be. But that is how I feel about it. I feel like we just created another mode where you're gonna have to grind quite a bit, and until we get some of these offline modes, I think that it's probably time to move away from that. But until then, we'll see how it goes, man. I definitely will offer my feedback after this Cyber Pass season is over with. And I'm kind of curious to see how far I can go. I think at this rate where I am right now, I'll probably complete the whole thing. It really just depends on the values of the items that come out. But at the same time, Space Ape did say they put a lot of their harder ones in the beginning, the more time-consuming ones at the beginning. So I think at the end, there will be more opportunities to just get tokens quickly. But at the same time, I also didn't like the idea that Space Ape came out with a Cyber Pass catch-up at the end for, like, I think it was $19.99 last time. And I didn't really like that. It's just like, all right, well, you can try to speed it along. I kind of felt like that was a little bit of a cash grab. And don't get me wrong, it's a game. I understand they're trying to make money, but I think you buy it at the beginning of the Cyber Pass and you just work your way through it. Or I thought it was a good touch that when players are playing the Cyber Pass, they collect that stuff no matter what. And if you pay for it later on, then you just wind up getting everything. But I was like, to go get a catch up to get something for nothing. Well, not for nothing, get something for, and just basically just paying for that set of prizes. I didn't particularly care for that much, but it is an option for players if you don't want to just have another game mode where you just grind through like that. So, I will be reasonable about that. But honestly, that's all I was really going to talk about regarding this particular Cyber Pass season. Like I said, I think I'll complete it, and I think that I will do pretty good. I will say I was slightly annoyed that it did take longer, because around this time in the last Cyber Pass season, I was done, and then today, I'll show you this real quick before I sign off. Today, I see this. So VIP rolled out early. And because VIP rolled out early, I wound up getting some shards. Not enough, just short of my next 5-star crystal, which I wanted to reveal today, but I'm not close enough to the Cyber Pass shards. And then I'm going to have to wait to the event tomorrow for the actual shards in game. So it's going to be one of those times where instantly I'm going to go get my 5-star shards. But I said it would have been nice to have been done with this thing right now, and then put my new 5-star into the cooker for a couple of levels, and then get the super XP from the event. Without having to wait for him to bake, or without having to coin him through that bake. I would have had a couple more days. But either way, what I'm looking at is I'll make a video just like I always do when I get a new 5-star or anything. I always come out and make a video of the crystal opening. Like I said, I don't like doing crystal crackings, like long crystal crackings, because honestly I find them incredibly boring. But I think anybody can get excited for somebody getting a new 5-star, and so I'll make a video for that later on in the weekend, just to show my new bot. But other than that, I will see you guys next week. I'm still trying to work on what my con highlight is going to be for next week, and then so I'll get that set up, and hopefully there'll be some interesting news next week. I mean, obviously we were talking about if you're on Transformers Earth Wars Discord, one of the things that you saw earlier today is that they announced that Drillhorn was going to be the leaderboard prize, and they said they're going to give him a new bot class. I don't know if that's an April Fool's joke or not, but I will say they did set up a chat room for us in the playtest server, so I don't think they're joking, but we'll see. I know April Fool's is tomorrow, but at the same time, could easily be a joke. We'll see what happens. But so that means that Flatline is being put on hold, apparently. At least that's what Space Ape is saying. We'll see what happens. But when I was talking to players earlier, most players didn't seem too bent out of shape about it, but I suspect that a lot of that is just because they might be calling it a joke right now. So we'll see. But anyway, I'll see you guys next week with a new con highlight this Monday, and I will also see you guys on the battlefield. Freezius out.